You know, viewer, I've got a pretty big problem. For just about the entirety of my 30 years on this planet, there is one very important thing I've been trying to do that I haven't been able to figure out how to do consciously and consistently. Be authentic to myself. And it's a weird problem to have because growing up, I was a gifted kid, quote unquote, which seems to me to be a pretty useless identity you get stuck to you by people that, for whatever reason, waste their time judging and comparing the value of children. But it was an identity that always kind of fit for me because I did notice that for all of my life, things that people around me, kids around me seemed to struggle with or think were impossible, I could manage pretty easily, especially when it came to learning new things. I remember my old band director telling me one time that I was just like my dad. I could see anything that I wanted to learn and then pick it up in a week. But the reason that I'm bringing this up is, of all of the things that I have tried to learn, being authentic is the one that has unfortunately eluded me most of the time. And I think I have a pretty good grasp of why. First of all, I can honestly say that I cannot point to a time in my life where I was psychologically and mentally healthy. And secondly, I think having a gifted kid identity and a lot of ego in the family just kind of taught me to try and be what other people wanted or what would be impressive to other people and not really think about myself and what I want too much. And one of the biggest, if not the biggest battles of authenticity that I've been fighting for about the past 13 years now, 13? No, I think it's more like 15, 14? Let's say 14. 14 years now is my YouTube work. Anyone who's been following me will know this already, but I have been hopelessly trapped in an endless cycle of getting inspired, making a bunch of videos over the course of like a week or a month or so, and getting burnt out, and then taking a silent hiatus that lasts like months or years. Years. Oh boy, I hate saying that. I've promised big projects and not delivered. I've shut down channels and rebranded like 3 or 4 times, and I've even delisted huge swaths of my past work for reasons that I'll get into later. And from my point of view, the fundamental problem is this. I am a YouTuber for one reason and one reason only. Because I believe in what I do. I would certainly not shy away if I happen to be world famous or influential or rich, or at the very least, just not have to work a part-time job anymore. Nothing wrong with part-time, it's just I wish I was doing only this. I love this so much. But I set a very high standard for myself before I ever started, and that standard was that whatever I'm doing, I'm only going to do it if it's something that I believe in with all my heart is valuable for me to do. Whether that's because it's really valuable for me to make, or because I think it's something that I can give to people that will add a lot of value to their life. I felt that this was an appropriate standard to set early on to curtail myself from falling into the various traps along the path, lest I end up successful for whatever reason. Those traps being like, chasing money or chasing fame or all that stupid crap. But little did I know that I was signing myself up for many, many, many years of frustration, looking back on the things that I've made and going, you know what, that wasn't real. That wasn't what I really wanted to make. That one was a bunch of people pleasing. That one's just a bunch of ideas I don't believe in, etc. The thing about being a recovering gifted kid is that I don't feel any insecurity about the idea that I can make something good. I know in my heart that I've made things in the past that were good, or at least good enough that people like them, and I still hear comments to this day about a lot of the work that I've done in the past that people really love. And I've always had this terrible inner conflict and guilt about the fact that all of the things that people have told me they loved, like 95% of it is stuff that I can't even bear to watch because yeah, I think I did a good job and I really appreciate that people like it, but I know I made something that wasn't me. And because of that, it's just like, I don't know, it's just useless to me. In fact, it's worse than useless. It makes me really ashamed because that's my one rule. That one rule means so much to me, more than anything that anybody could tell me ever could. And this video is, to be honest, kind of a revelation moment for me because for the first time, I'm not trying to do something that I think might be authentic to me. This video, of all of the videos I've ever made for some reason, I feel totally confident that it is 100% what I want to make and what I believed in from the beginning. And I want to share with you why this video is finally the culmination of all those years of trial and error, because I made a very simple very easy mistake that caused me so much suffering I couldn't even document it in a novel. I was scared that no one was going to like me. Oh man, the ways in which that little simple fear screwed me over in the most complex, esoteric, obscure ways. Again, I'm not going to get too off topic right now, but let me just say for the record, I had that kind of childhood. The kind of childhood that makes you think things like, you don't deserve to be loved. And when you get something like that in your head, it is a poison that you drink every second of every day for the rest of your life until you learn how to put down the bottle. Making YouTube videos, in a lot of ways, was my idea for a refuge from all of that. But self-loathing isn't something that you can duck by trying to do something else. It worms its way into everything that you do. And I was a smart kid, so I learned to do it in the sneakiest, most clever ways. Here are a few phrases that may sound like reasonable statements, but were actually sneaky ways that I would unconsciously speak to myself to avoid being authentic because I didn't trust myself. That's fine, but I don't think people will get it. Try something else. Yeah, you could make that video, but if you added some production value to it, people will probably like it more. You should probably get better at X. It'll make your art better and people will probably value it more. None of these statements sound inherently harmful, right? In fact, I think in a lot of cases, they could be really helpful things to say to somebody. The problem is, they weren't helpful to me. As a matter of fact, if we remember that one rule that I had, they are the absolute antithesis of everything that I cared about. Because authenticity isn't about production value. It's certainly not about fame or money. It's not even about talent or skill. It's about being absolutely honest and real with yourself. You can be all about fame or money, but you should come right out and say it. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with growing, but is what you're making about growing or not? That's the important question. That's the question I was never able to answer. I could tell you exactly what I was trying to do with everything I've ever made, but I couldn't tell you whether or not that intention was authentic. The whole point of one of my past channels, The Chadkin Show, was as a proving ground for trying to discover my artistic voice, if you want to call it that. And then one day I made this big send-off video to that channel because I thought I had found it. I started Chill with Charles and all these other channels, and you want to guess what happened? Barely got started before I burnt out and lost faith in myself again. And ever since then, man, I have just been boiling inside, desperately trying to figure out what happened. But a couple of nights ago, I was having a conversation with my wife, and over the course of the conversation, I finally had a vision for something that I wanted to make that truly, for the first time in a long time, maybe ever, felt authentic in all the ways I wanted it to feel. I believed in it. I felt like it had real value. I felt like I could do it totally as myself and I wouldn't end up embellishing it with a bunch of unnecessary crap. It felt perfect. In fact, I realized I wanted to do a whole series of videos like it that I had no idea if there would ever really be an end to it because I just felt so inspired. And that video was a narrated Minecraft video where I talk about how much I suck at being authentic. And that was pretty scary to me because if I wanted to do something unique and innovative and high production value, I'm pretty much cooked because these kinds of narrated Minecraft videos are getting spammed all over YouTube like it's no one's business. I'm not exactly treading new ground or doing something Hollywood would cry at. But I think you can see why I felt so inspired to make this. Plus, to be honest, there's a sector of the internet, and particularly of YouTube, that I have just about had it with, that I have a real bone to pick with, and that I know could be done better, and I intend to do so with this video and the inevitable sea of videos that will come after. And that is with self-help content. I have had it with disingenuous marketeers profiting off of the collective misery of people online who are just looking for guidance in a lonely place in their lives. I have been there all of my life. And I know more than anything that when you're in a place like that, you don't need a bunch of entrepreneurs marketing pseudo-wisdom at you and promising you that if you just do these 4 steps, you'll get rich and laid. I know from deep personal experience that the real healing balm when you're lost and alone is connection and authenticity. People don't need to be sold get better quick schemes. They need for another human being to reflect the suffering that they're going through so that they know it's real, it's not just them, and they're not alone. I don't know. Maybe this is just the gifted kid in me talking, but I don't think people are so stupid they need to be taught anything about life. I think everything that anyone needs to know about life is right there inside of you. Maybe you need somebody to teach you how to add 2 + 2. If you work at a pizza place, somebody's gonna have to teach you how to bake a pizza. But I believe we're all born with the user's manual to life built in. And the only time we really screw it up is when we decide to start assembling the furniture without looking at the manual and end up using all the wrong screws. To me, authenticity is the very act of looking at the manual for life. Call it what you want. A higher power, God, the universe, biology, whatever it is, it's built in. And when you do it, your life goes the way you want it to. You don't get to control it, you just get to choose whether or not you follow it. I don't think you can teach anyone anything about life. I think you can say something about life and those words can resonate with the reality in someone's heart, and that can teach them something about themselves. But I don't think anyone holds the secret to how to live your life but you. I think that fundamental dignity and respect for, I don't know, man, the divine spirit of every human being, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, somewhere along the line got totally lost. And all the constant bombardment of mental health diagnosis terms and pseudo-spirituality and pseudo-wisdom being sold on the internet isn't helping the mental health crisis. It's making it worse. It's teaching people that the reason they have a problem is because they didn't know about this magic term that could be solved with this magic technique or this magic pill, and the reason they have problems is because somebody has all the answers and they need to pay the price to get them. Whether that's money or time or a subscription, well, I call bullshit. I'm not here to say that I have not benefited greatly from the advice and wisdom of people online. I'm here to say that I am sick to death of the other 99% of complete conveyor belt crap that I've had the misfortune of listening to over the years. And to be honest, it wouldn't be anywhere near as bad. In fact, all of those videos would be fine if people just had the decency to not pretend like they have all the answers to life. If they could just stop telling people that if you do X, Y will definitely happen, then it wouldn't be so bad. That's the authenticity element. If people could just admit that whatever it is that they learn from life, that they're sharing in their video or their podcast or their book or whatever, they learn because of their experiences, their struggles, and that it might not work for everyone. And that they're not trying to replace someone's responsibility to figure things out for themselves, I don't think it would be such a problem. So I'm not here to tell you how to be authentic and what steps you can take to get there. I'm here to tell you how I am a total fuck up when it comes to being authentic. That I have been fucking up being authentic literally all of my life. And you know what? That's fine. That's okay. That's just life. It is oftentimes the things we want to be the most that we least are. That just makes sense, right? Of course, the thing we want most is the thing we feel we least have. Life is about moving in the direction of what we truly want. And as we move, sometimes we don't get it and we have to let go, and sometimes we get it and then we have the problem of wanting something else. You don't need to escape the wheel of samsara to feel like a valid human life. It's okay to want things. It's okay to not have the things that you want. It's okay to work towards the things you want and not get them immediately or even at all. You don't have to grind. You absolutely can if you want to. That is completely up to you. But if you want to be lazy, dude, make your whole life about trying to maximize the amount of laziness that you are capable of achieving in a day. I am dead serious. Look, let me calm down for a second here. I've been trying to make valuable art, whatever that is, for 13 years. I have about 100,000 hobbies, all of which I'm like, I don't know, semi-competent at, like beginner intermediates kind of level, and some of which, if I said them, make me sound very, very impressive. And you know what doesn't sound impressive? Minecraft YouTuber. You know what's making me happier to be than anything I've tried to be in those 13 years? Minecraft YouTuber. If I can be so bold as to give you any advice, and if it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. But if there is one thing I wish I could snap my fingers and make the whole world do, it's stop looking for the answers outside of you. You're not gonna find them. You're gonna confuse yourself endlessly until the frustration mounts to a boiling point, and then you're just gonna give up on trying anyways. So my advice, give up on trying to find the answers now and just accept that there are no answers to everything in life, that your knowledge will forever be incomplete. And what's more, you don't need it. You need to just learn to listen to yourself. It's so much simpler than it seems. You know when something feels right. Just move in that direction. That's it. I'm not saying don't take advice, don't read books, don't watch whatever videos or listen to whatever podcast that you like. But don't look to that person to be the ultimate judge of what is true in your life. Listen to what they have to say and then listen to the judge inside. Listen to what it has to say. Verify that information through that voice. And trust me, there will be conflict. Like I said, authenticity has been my personal battle all of my life. But that's okay. That's my battle. That's my journey. That's my hero's journey, you know? Some people are raised in love and joy, and they go on to do great things like fight cancer or world hunger. I was raised in neglect and narcissism, and I consider it my purpose in life to just fight off the lies. And one of the biggest bosses I've had to take down in my life are the lies I have told myself, that I internalized, and the ones that I have yet to internalize. And if you're like me, if you've had it rough and your life has been an uphill struggle against a foot that is constantly trying to kick you back down the hill, listen, your life is not invalid or of a lower quality for having been so hard. It is just as rich, just as valuable, and the lessons that you're going to learn from being forced to overcome these things on your own will only make you a more fulfilled life in the final analysis. I've been blessed that I've had to figure out most of my life on my own because it's protected me from the falsehoods of being sold external solutions to facts of life. And it's kept a little pocket of conscious understanding in me that my life is my own, and that the answers can always be found within myself. No one struggles with life. We only struggle in life. And it is the same life from which we struggle that we learn, strive, and overcome. It is the same mechanism that makes us feel lost, that tells us when we're found. You are not the enemy. You're not stupid. You're not some lost, isolated child in a world of dangers you can't overcome. And if you don't agree with me, great. You stick to what you believe in. You stay connected to what you feel. And if that ever changes, you stick to that too. Whatever resonates most strongly in your heart, whatever seems right to you, even if it doesn't seem right to anyone else, that's the guiding star, man. Don't ever let some jackass YouTuber take that away from you. All I have to say now is, I hope you like this. I needed this, man. Oh, it's good to just be myself. Stay connected. Stay authentic. Oh, and P.S. I'd wish you a good day, but I don't think I believe in that anymore anyways. What the fuck is so wrong about having a bad day? You can do your best and still have a bad day. Why would I ask somebody to do something they can't control? Have a friggin' day, but stay connected. That's all that matters. Okay, take care of yourselves. I love you guys.